Is what is the future we're giving to our kids? If we don't get a handle on our deficit, on the economy, and actually seeing new jobs being created that are good jobs, that that take full advantage of the skill sets that our youth have, that's our future. And again, going back to being a mother first and foremost, I mean, I feel like I've been able to do quite a lot of neat things in my life, but the number one thing that I'm most proud of is my 25 and 23-year-old. I feel extremely fortunate to have them in my lives, but I want them to have the kind of future that is stable, that is something that's encouraging for them to look at. For me, I have my own personal concerns at Medicare and Social Security. All my working life, I've wondered if that would be there. But even more importantly, I want my kids to have a strong future. That will happen if we have a good economy, if we have jobs created, not destroyed by government regulation, over-regulation. And so I, again, just want to say thank you for being here, because I appreciate you caring about this. I think we are at a critical juncture in our country's history, as well as the state of Colorado. So thanks again.
So I was in college in, I'm afraid to say this even, the disco era, the late 70s, and I graduated in '81. And when I graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in '81, the country was suffering from the economic policies of Jimmy Carter. I couldn't find a job. There were no jobs. So I ended up getting a job that's 100% commission, and you know, ate a lot of rice.
Ramen.
Then, right, ramen. So then at medical school, when I was in medical school, and then doing my residency in radiology, we had Hillary Care during the Clinton administration. The threat of Hillary Care, that didn't even become law, but it did damage that lasted for 10 years. So when I graduated from my residency and fellowship in women's imaging, there were no jobs for radiology, because medical groups put a freeze on their hiring because they didn't know what was going to happen with that healthcare law and potential legislation. So here we are again, another Democrat administration, and people are graduating from school with degrees and advanced degrees, and there are no jobs. Do we see a trend here? Is there something we can learn from these processes and experiences? And I say yes. And I say that if you want to improve an economy, get government out of the way, and the Democrats don't do that. Right. Thank you.
You know, in November, Americans will have an opportunity to decide whether to go back to America's founding principles of small government, free enterprise, personal responsibility, and fiscal responsibility, and take back America to where it should be. Or allow America to evolve into a country where a place where people look at the government to provide for themselves, for them, what they can and should provide for themselves. So it's going to be a very critical election. Latinos play a very important role in this election, and right now I'm working on a project with Dr. Vecchio trying to educate the Latino community about the truth behind Obamacare. They are only listening to lies from the media, unfortunately, and somebody has to step out and tell them, look, this is what really those 2,700 pages say that is going to impact you, your family, your business, and our economy. I'm an optimist, and in spite of the terrible situation the country is in right now, I believe not only in America, but in Americans, and their God-given ability to thrive in the face of hardship. Many times we learn our greatest lessons during our greatest trials. The pressures and struggles can bring the best out of us sometimes. America is a Christian nation, regardless of what some people have said. And with that in mind, we will always have hope. Hope to restore America back to its origins, where freedom and opportunity were the result of the knowledge that all men are created equal by God, and entitled to the pursuit of happiness. As long as we understand and commit to preserve these guiding principles, we can look at the future with optimism and hope, knowing that God is with us, and I believe He's with us. And if He is with us, who can be against us? Thank you.
You know, I'm just so very thankful that I live in the best country, the freest country as a free woman right now. And it has nothing to do with anything that I did to get here. You know, my ancestors were very brave people to take on the water, to make the move. And then my grandmothers fought and they gave up their blood, sweat, and tears to give me the right to vote, to drive a car, to have an education, to choose what food I'm going to eat, and you know, what am I gonna, how am I gonna educate my children, and what am I gonna feed them, and you know, what kind of medical care do we want for our family? And I'm just so very thankful that I have that right here in this country today. And it would be really, it would really be a negative thing for any woman in this country to not vote this election, because we have the right to, and it's actually the fact that we have the duty to. We really need to keep these rights. And so that's why, you know, I'm out talking to women today and every day about reading between the lines. The people that are backing the Obama administration are telling all of us that we need to stay with them to keep our choice. But in the past 4 years, I feel like I've had much less choice than I ever had before. And I believe that if we go with a fiscal conservative who actually has a plan to balance our budget, to stop runaway spending, to not be giving handouts, but really just to help give opportunity to people to do their own work, then we will keep our choice. And we can choose to be as active or non-active as we want. We can choose to have as many children as we want or not have children if you don't want to. Women can decide to get married or never get married. My parents told me growing up, study hard, work hard, always be independent, never depend on anybody else to give you anything, because the minute they give it to you, they can take it right back away. And so I just reach out to my fellow sisters and say, let's fight right now, this session. Pay attention to what's going on, talk to your communities, talk to your friends. Has what this administration done over the past 3+ years helped your financial situation, helped you and your family? And if not, then you've got to vote for a change. Okay, thanks.
I'd like to thank our incredible panelists for being with us this morning. I have just a couple of summary comments that I'd like to make, and what I've heard from you all is that the stagnant economy is hurting everyone, but especially women and minorities. We've heard a lot about what the proper role of government is, and this government, this time in our nation's history, is out of control. There's stagnation, there's dependency. You said the uncertainty in the regulatory environment is really hurting small business and entrepreneurship. The fact that there are so many fines, fees, and the tax liability, again, stagnation in the economy, lack of transparency, overreaching bureaucracy. One thing I'd like to point out, though, is such a frustration to me, and it's so offensive, because many of us, again, taking care of kids, grandkids, our elderly parents, is the fact that last week in the Wall Street Journal, the Obama administration, the Obama campaign's deputy campaign director said, quote, women they're not really concerned about what's gone on over the last 4 years. And I just think that that is so offensive, to think that we are not paying attention. This economy is hurting us. We care deeply about it. We have a $16 trillion debt that will be passed on to our children and grandchildren if we don't do anything. And that's frankly just unacceptable. It's not fair to leave them that kind of a debt. You also heard, yesterday, Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, say that the middle class has been buried the last 4 years. No joke. Why is that? It's because the administration doesn't understand that government doesn't create jobs. It's the private sector. And how we unleash people in a free society to do what they do best, and that is to seek opportunity and to grow and to help others, is what we need to get back to. You mentioned faith and family, our Judeo-Christian heritage, our constitutional privileges and rights. And so what do we do with this? We can listen to the left pander and use scare tactics to say that all we care about is free birth control, which again I think is absolutely offensive. I don't need help finding birth control. I need help finding a job. And that's what women are telling us. So use your voice. I'm so pleased for the Colorado Women's Alliance that has helped with this research, published research that says women do have deeply held beliefs, but the #1 issue for them is the economy. So let's use our voice, let's educate our sisters out there, and